What's up, my super Gelfling friends? It is Danny Gallows, of course, who'd you think it was? And welcome back to the second to last video in my episode by episode review of Age of Resistance. Yeah guys, it's hard to believe we are almost done with this awesome series. Brought the Podling hat back for today's review. And, oh by the way, did you guys know that it was Age of Resistance's birthday yesterday? That's right, August 30th. 3-year anniversary. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but it has felt that long because of the cancellation. But I hope you guys are finding your own way to celebrate. You know, a lot of us have got a 3-day weekend this weekend, so let's make this another kind of mini Thraw-a-thon weekend and celebrate the 3-year anniversary of Age of Resistance right. So as we begin this episode, our heroes are about to start their quest to find the Dual Glaive. Well, actually, they don't need to quest at all because, as it turns out, Aughra has had it the whole time. That's right, she breaks her cane apart, and there is the Dual Glaive itself. Well, it's only half of the Dual Glaive. The catch is, they still have to journey for the other half. And here we get a nice brief history of the Dual Glaive as Aughra dream fast with Rian, and she shows him that this weapon, you know, has quite a history, being used originally by his father during the Aratham Wars, and that the blade has some kind of special power in it that drains essence, so obviously it's a very, very important weapon. But the other half is located inside of the crucible at the Stone in the Wood back in Rian's homeland. So, we're off to Stone in the Wood. Now, after this, we move on to another one of the most dramatic and important scenes in the entire show. Another very, very powerful scene, too, as Celadon and Brea, who have now been captured and strapped to their chairs, ready to be drained, are facing certain death. That is until Aughra shows up to surprise everyone once again. And even though Skekso had banished her from the castle, well, she's there for a specific reason. Why? Well, because Aughra is Thra. She is the living emanation of Thra. So, if she agrees, not only does she agree to sacrifice herself for the resistance in that moment, but she also agrees to give them her essence. And the reason this is so important is because Aughra is a living emanation of Thra, she has obviously the most powerful essence of any living being on the entire planet. So her essence is the only thing that can save Skekmal in this moment. And so Mother Aughra offers a trade, her life in place of the Gelfling. And obviously this is a little bit suspicious at first, because why would Mother Aughra, the Mother Aughra, offer her life up for 2 Gelfling? I mean, we know that they're that important, but to the Skeksis this is definitely a little bit fishy. But the thing is, though, that Skekso's lust for power and domination, his lust for eternity, his lust to stay immortal, is so overpowering that it clouds his vision. And so in that moment he knows he will do anything to stop Skekmal from dying, even if that means trading the Gelfling away, because as we see, you know, he's just going to kill him later. You know, as soon as they walk out, just kill him, right? These are the orders that he gives the general before they leave. So either way he wins, but he knows that he needs Mother Aughra's essence to save Skekmal because it's the only thing, and he will do anything in his power to save Skekmal from dying. And as we'll come to find out in the last episode, well, she did this for a very, very specific reason. And now, finally, all of the Gelfling are freed from their jail cell. Brea, Celadon, all the rest, and they're all being led by Tavra, who still has the threader on her face, and as she explains, it's because they've been together so long that their minds have literally melded. She can't tell where one ends and the other begins. So this threader is just kind of chilling on her face for a while. I guess it's just there. That's just how Tavra is now. But brave Tavra, of course, leads them all out of the jail cell. We get this little kind of nice reunion between all the sisters, and she starts to lead them through the catacombs underneath the castle and hopefully out to safety. And we're treated with this great scene where Tavra stands up to the general and actually stabs him, actually gets a blow in on the general, and calls a spitter to her and spits in Skeklak's face. I don't know if it was poisonous, but it obviously definitely affected her postules very much so. Maybe even temporarily blinded her for a minute. But I just love that scene because, you know, that was one of the scenes that inspired me to write about Tavra. You know, when I was getting ready to write Siphon Charms, I was like, well, what should I do the story about, you know? And Tavra was always a character that stuck out to me, not only because she didn't get nearly enough screen time, as much screen time as she should have, but it's in moments like that that really inspired me to write about Tavra, because she's just so noble and brave, and she can be just, you know, just ice in her veins when you need her to be, and she's a very, very powerful, skilled warrior, and she's very wise, she's very intelligent as well, so she was a character that I definitely wanted to expand on in Siphon Charms, and I hope I'm doing a good job with that. But yeah, great scene with Tavra there. I love that, and it just, you know, it just proves how awesome Tavra is. But fortunately, our good friend the Chamberlain has arrived once again to save the day. And by save the day, I mean impale Tavra completely. Man, what a gruesome scene that was. Because, you know, Gelfling are small creatures, and seeing this huge blade just completely impale Tavra, I mean, realistically, we know it's a fantasy story, so she's got to stay alive. Maybe Gelfling have a little bit of a stronger life force than human beings, maybe. But I mean, realistically, that would have killed her immediately. I mean, that is a huge blade. That would have gone from, like, her sternum to her belly button. You know what I mean? Completely eviscerating her spine, her all of her organs. So maybe her essence was just keeping her hanging on to just a thread of life. But Skeksil is also there to offer the general some aid. He's got a little bottle of essence saved up, which he offers the general in this moment. And it's not only just to save his life, well, I suppose it is, but you know how Skeksil works. He's always got something going on in the shadows, right? And his goal here is to regain the general's trust. Because if he can't necessarily get Skeksil's trust, what you want to do is you want to gain the trust of the person next to the Emperor, which is the general. And so once he and the general become friends, what Skeksil can do in that moment is he can start to weaken the general in all kinds of ways, gaining his trust to the point where, you know, there is no danger surrounding the Chamberlain anymore. The general doesn't feel a threat coming from the Chamberlain anymore. It's just friendship. It's just camaraderie. And Skeksil is going to use that moment, as we'll see in the last episode, to do something very horrible. Well, not horrible to him, but, well, not horrible to us either. I guess the Chamberlain does something kind of great. So after Mother Aughra is finally drained in this very emotional, dramatic scene, it is one of the most scariest, saddest scenes in the entire show to see Mother Aughra perish like that. It's something that, you know, we as Dark Crystal fans, we thought would never see that moment, right? But here she is in Age of Resistance, getting drained herself. And it is a very, very powerful scene. Is, you know, Skeksil has that his famous "I will never be dust" speech before he cranks the machine up to full power, and bam, Mother Aughra turns into stardust and she's gone. And it's just such a dramatic moment, one of the most dramatic in the entire show, and it really kind of affects you, man, because any of us who know the history of Dark Crystal and Mother Aughra, man, that is a very, very crucial moment in the show. And then right after this, of course, we move on to another one of the saddest scenes in the entire show, which is Tavra's death. And yeah, I know, you know, a lot of people will say that Celadon's redemption in this moment was a little bit too fast, but, you know, something we have to keep in mind is, again, you know, Gelfling are not human. They have different emotions, they have a different culture. In human culture, this would have been seen as too fast of a redemption, but in Gelfling culture, maybe there's something different there. Because we can definitely see that Celadon was very upset, you know, wishing that she could take Tavra's place in that moment, knowing that, admitting to herself and to Brea as well, that this was her price to pay, and that it should be there, it should be her dying there instead. And I mean, she's right, you know, it's true, and it's so sad that that's often the way it goes, that the characters that aren't supposed to die, the characters that are supposed to live on, are the ones that die. You know, it's like that speech in Lord of the Rings, man, you know, many that die deserve life, and many that live deserve to die, right? And here we see that kind of, practice going on, I guess you could say, in Age of Resistance, but that's what makes a dramatic story. And something interesting I've always thought about this scene is that the spider, the threader that was originally attached to Tavra's face, crawls away from the scene, and the camera stays on the threader as it crawls away. And I've always thought that was interesting because in the book series we know that Tavra was a spider for a little while in J.M. Lee's book series. We know that she had taken the form of a spider because their minds had melded. So I've always had this idea that in episode 2, Tavra could actually return, but as a threader instead, because obviously the threader didn't die. The threader is still alive. So if their minds have melded, then Tavra must still be in the threader somewhere. So what do you guys think about that? Would it be a cool concept to see Tavra returned as a threader? I mean, I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool idea. It's a little bit outlandish, a little bit wild, I know, but so is the Dark Crystal. So as we return to the Crystal Castle, we see the General and the Chamberlain, who are now a team at this point, dragging the body of an Aratham soldier back into the castle to be presented to the Emperor. And the idea is that they want the scientists to take this Aratham body and create a brand new super soldier, right? A kind of super Aratham that is much more violent and much stronger and much more vicious and ferocious, and most importantly, completely loyal to the Emperor and to the Skeksis, right? They basically want the scientists to build them an army. And of course, the scientist is very, very excited about this. He's like, yeah, I relish the opportunity to do something like this. And we all know what's coming down the line, right? Of course, they're talking about the Garthim in this moment. And this is such a cool scene because we literally get to see the birth of the Garthim. This was where the idea came from, where the idea sprang to life for the Garthim, right there in that moment. And it's really, really cool because as Dark Crystal fans, we all know what's coming down the line. It's just, it's going to take a long time to see it, but still a cool scene nonetheless to see how they actually came up with the idea, and that, of course, it was the Chamberlain who came up with the idea. Now, as Deet and Rian finally arrive at Stone in the Wood, Rian climbs the crucible and finds the other half of the Dual Glaive sitting right there. It's basically on top of the pile. It's really not buried deep or anything. And thank goodness for that, because Rian probably would have burned his hand, right? But Rian pulls the other half of the Dual Glaive out, and we have this great scene where Deet and Rian place the Dual Glaive together. And I love that because not only is it the completion of the Dual Glaive, but again, it's also symbolic, right? You have that symbology there where two separate Gelfling are uniting together, right? It's the uniting of the Gelfling clans, right? I love that. There's so much subtle symbology in this movie. You gotta look for it, right? But it's there. It's all over the place throughout the show. And after he does this, the hearth in the crucible begins to glow blue. And this blue fire springs forth, but it's not just there at Stone in the Wood, it's coming, it starts to emanate this blue glow, this blue beam of fire. These blue beams of fire start to emanate from literally every single corner of Thra. It's essentially like a giant video call, where like every single one of the Gelfling clans that has a fire lit, and they always have a fire lit, can see Rian in this moment, and they can hear him, they can see him, they can interact with him, they can talk to him. And hey, even the Skeksis were invited to this video call. So of course, Rian uses this opportunity to say the words that are burning in his heart, which are the most inspirational words I think a Gelfling has ever spoken. I mean, seriously, this is another one of the most beloved scenes in the entire show, because what Rian is saying in this moment is so pure and organic, yet it's so true. It's so moving, it's so inspiring that you can't, listen to the speech and not be inspired by it and not understand what he's saying. This was Rian's moment. He seized the day and he took it 100% by inspiring all the Gelfling. And I love this speech so much. It is so powerful. The imagery that is being used, combined with the music, combined with Rian's just amazing, heartwarming, heartfelt words, where he knows that he has to unite the clans. He doesn't know exactly what to say, but he's just letting everything inside him just pour out. And it's such a fantastic scene. It's so amazing. And just seeing all the Gelfling come together, and Rian just, sits there as the music starts to rise in crescendo, and Rian's like, come meet me at Stone in the Wood. It's our time to fight. We've lit the fires of resistance. Here in Stone in the Wood, we're going to make our stand against the Skeksis. Not as many, but as one! Yeah! I mean, God, that is such a great scene, man. It's a fist-pumping scene. It gets your energy boiling inside your body, man. It just... God, I feel like saluting like that guy in Independence Day. You're the man, Rian. Oh, sorry. But of course we all know the Skeksis are not going to take this sitting down on their tails and claws, right? As Skekso takes this opportunity to kind of take over the blue fire, to remind all the Gelfling listening that they are all powerful, they are in charge, we don't care about your little insurrection, we don't care about your little resistance. We are the immortal, eternal lords of the crystal, and we will never lose our status. And if you guys want to go to war, we will meet you in battle, and we will be ready, and you will be wiped out. Man, it's getting good. And that's where this episode ends. So that means that's enough blathering from yours truly for right now. But now comes the best part of the video where I turn it over to all of you. So go ahead and leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void. Favorite characters, favorite moments, favorite scene, favorite whatever you want. Let me know, guys. Leave it all down below in the Great White Void. And of course, I will be back next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday, for the very last episode of Age of Resistance. Man, I cannot wait to talk about this and give you guys like a nice solid recap of the entire show and kind of give you guys my final thoughts on that. So all that good stuff is coming next week. But as always, of course, until next we meet, guys, take care. For Thra, for Jim, forever. Go celebrate the 3-year anniversary of Age of Resistance, please. You know, go marathon this thing, have a little Thrathon, and honor, love, and respect this great TV show that is Age of Resistance. Share it out to someone who hasn't watched it yet. You know, keep spreading the word, keep spreading the love, and maybe read Thief and Charms too. I hear it's pretty good. It's always linked down below in the description. But as always, guys, until next we meet, take care. I'll see you guys back here for the next video very soon. Da, 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 da.